Darren stood at the edge of the landing platform, looking out at the bright lights of Orbital City 9, floating high above Jupiter. He wore a dark silver suit, his hair perfectly in place, but his face looked tired. Cameras followed him. Reporters shouted his name. Drones hovered around, recording every movement. He hated all of it. Behind him, his uncle Rovik smiled for the cameras. Rovik was tall, always confident, always speaking like a leader. Tonight was a big event, Darren's engagement. Announcement. His uncle had arranged the match with a powerful family to help their company grow. Darren didn't love the girl. He barely knew her. But he was the face of Vega Corp, and that meant duty came first. Darren took a deep breath. He was 29 years old. Rich, famous, and completely stuck. He looked for a way out, just for a moment. That's when he saw her. She stood near the entrance, quiet and alone. She wore a plain white jacket and dark pants. She looked confused, like she didn't belong there, but not afraid. Her eyes were soft, focused, and a little strange, like they were always searching for something. Without thinking, Darren walked toward her. The crowd watched, curious. His uncle's smile faded. Reporters raised their cameras. Darren stopped in front of the girl. She looked up at him. "I'm sorry," he whispered, "but I need your help." Before she could ask what he meant, Darren leaned forward and kissed her. The world around them froze. Cameras clicked. People gasped. The girl's eyes widened, but she didn't pull away. For a moment, time stood still. Then Darren stepped back. "Thank you," he whispered again. The girl stared at him, confused. "What was that for?" "You just saved me from a forced marriage," Darren said with a small smile, her brow raised. "That's not something I hear every day." He smiled wider for the first time in weeks. "Come with me. Just pretend we know each other." "Why should I?" she asked, calm and direct. "Because you don't want to be here either," Darren replied. "And I saw you before. You looked like you were waiting for something." The girl hesitated, then nodded once. They walked back toward the crowd, hand in hand. "This is Mira," Darren said loudly to the cameras. "She's the one I love. We've kept it private, but I want everyone to know she's the reason I won't be going through with the arranged marriage." Gasps echoed. Rovik stepped forward, trying to speak, but the media drowned him out with questions. Darren and Mira walked past them, into the nearest lift. As the doors closed, silence filled the small space. Darren turned to Mira, feeling a little guilty now. "Sorry for pulling you into this," Mira shrugged. "You look desperate." "I was." They stood quietly as the lift moved upward, away from the crowd and noise. "Where are you from?" he asked. "Far," she said simply. "Earthside?" "Not exactly." Darren noticed she avoided his eyes now. She had helped him, but something about her didn't quite fit. Her posture, her voice, even the way she looked around. It was all a little too careful. "I'll make sure you're not bothered after this," Darren said. "People might ask questions, but I can protect your identity." Mira looked at him with calm eyes. "You already did more than you know." The lift stopped. The doors opened to a quiet hallway. "Thank you, Mira," Darren said. "You didn't have to help me. I don't even know who you really are." She looked at him one last time before stepping out. "Maybe one day you will." And then she was gone. Darren leaned against the wall, confused and curious. That kiss had saved him. But now, he couldn't stop thinking about her. 3 days had passed since the kiss that shocked the entire Orbital City. Darren's name was all over the networks. News channels repeated the video. Young millionaire kisses mystery girl to cancel arranged marriage. Everyone wanted to know who was the girl. But no one could find her. Darren had searched the guest list. Nothing. He asked his security team. They had no record of her arrival, no ID scan, no face match. She had simply appeared then disappeared. "Maybe she was a ghost," said Garrow, Darren's assistant. a soft-spoken AI in human form who helped run his private systems. Ghosts don't kiss you in front of 1,000 cameras. Darren replied. Still, he couldn't stop thinking about her Myra, the way she looked at him. The way she walked into the crowd like she didn't care what anyone thought. She wasn't scared. She was in control. And now she was gone. That evening, Darren returned to his private sky suite at the top of Tower 9. The lights dimmed as he entered. Garrow moved to the side and spoke softly. Sir, there's someone waiting for you in the sitting room. Darren blinked. Who? She didn't give a name, but I scanned her body signature. It's not on any known record. Also, something else. What? She has no heartbeat. Darren froze. Show me. He walked quickly into the next room and stopped. There she was. Mira sat calmly on the edge of the sofa, hands folded in her lap, dressed in a gray jacket and travel pants. Her hair was tied back. She looked exactly the same. And completely different. You, Darren whispered. Hello, Myra said simply. He stepped closer. How did you get in here? This place has 6 layers of security. I walked, she said. And I was careful. Careful? Darren laughed once, then looked serious. People are still trying to find out who you are. If the media finds you here, they won't. Darren sat down across from her, eyes locked on hers. Who are you really, Mira? She looked down at her hands. For the first time, she seemed unsure. I needed help that night, she said. And you gave it without asking questions. So, I'm returning the favor. What kind of help? I need to stay hidden, for a little while. In return, I'll continue to pretend to be your partner. Darren stared. So, fake relationship? Yes, you get peace from your uncle. I get safety. Darren leaned back. You planned this? No, she said. But the moment you kissed me, everything changed. He didn't know whether to be angry, impressed, or both. So what are you hiding from? He asked. Mira looked at him. Her eyes flickered for a second, the color shifting slightly. Not brown. Not green. Something else. People who want to capture me, she said. People who think I don't belong here. Darren felt a chill. You're not from Earth? I'm not even from the solar system, she replied quietly. He stood up. Wait, are you saying you're alien? Mira nodded. Yes, but I'm not dangerous. I came here for peace. I only ran because they broke that promise. Darren paced the room. Why come to me? You kissed me. In public, that video is everywhere. Now they believe I'm under protection. If I stay with you, they'll hesitate. He stopped and looked at her again. You used me. I survived, she said. Darren stayed quiet for a moment. Then he sighed. Well, I did use you too. So I guess we're even. Myra smiled slightly. It seems we help each other. Garrow entered the room. Sir, shall I prepare a guest room? Darren looked at Mira. No, set up a cover story. She's now my fiancée. For the cameras, for the media, and for whoever's chasing her. Mira stood up. You're helping me? I don't like being used, he said. But I hate being told what to do even more. And right now, you need someone. So do I. They shook hands, no smile this time, just understanding. Outside the windows, Jupiter's storms swirled below. Inside, 2 strangers began a dangerous game. The news spread across the system like fire in dry air. Darren Vega confirms secret relationship with mystery woman. New power couple of Orbital City 9? Who is Mira? Where did she come from? Everyone wanted to know more, but Darren refused. Interviews. He gave one simple message through Garrow. She's real, she's mine. We don't owe you a story. That only made the public more curious. Now every move Darren and Mira made was watched. Cameras followed them at dinners. Drones floated near whenever they stepped outside. Reporters asked strange questions about wedding dates and family plans. In all, Mira remained calm. She smiled when needed. She waved politely. She didn't say much, but when she did, her words were soft and thoughtful. People liked her, even though they didn't know why. Inside the private suite, things were quiet and different. Darren sat at his desk, scanning news reports. Across the room, Mira stood near the window, watching the space lanes where ships came and went. Her eyes often followed the stars like they meant something only she could understand. "You're good at this," Darren said, not looking up. "At pretending?" She replied. He nodded. "Most people would panic under this much pressure." "I've lived under pressure longer than you've been alive." Darren raised an eyebrow. "How old are you?" "I stopped counting after 30, she said with a small smile. 30 Earth years? Not exactly. He leaned back in his chair. "You speak like someone who's seen too much." Mira turned to him. "You speak like someone who hasn't felt anything in a long time." Darren went quiet. She was right. He stood and walked over to a small table, pouring 2 glasses of water. "Here, a peace offering." Mira took the glass, sat down, and looked at him carefully. "Why do you really hate the arranged marriage?" Darren sighed. "Because it wasn't about love. It was business. My uncle wants control of the company. If I marry the daughter of his partner, he gets power over me. Over everything. And you?" She asked. "I built half of Vigacorp with my own hands. I gave up friends, sleep, even my health. I didn't do all that just to become someone's puppet." Mira nodded. "Then we have something in common. I also ran from people who wanted to control me." Darren looked at her, serious. "You say you're not dangerous. But what are you really? You don't eat much. You don't sleep. You don't scan like a human." She lowered her eyes. "I was part of a peace mission. We came to study humans. Learn from them. But when leaders changed on my homeworld, the mission was shut down. We were told to come back. Some of us refused. Why? Because we liked what we found here. Hope, choice, freedom." Darren studied her face. She didn't lie, he could feel it. Her voice was too honest. "So now you're a fugitive." "Yes, and I've just made you famous." She looked at him calmly. "That's why I came back. Fame protects, sometimes. More than weapons." Darren smiled slightly. "You're clever." Mira tilted her head. "And you're not as cold as you pretend to be." Just then Garrow entered. "Sir, media team requests a public appearance this evening. A charity event in Dome 4. Cameras will be present." Darren looked at Mira. "You in?" She nodded. "Let's show them what they want to see." That night, Darren and Mira entered the glass hall under Dome 4, walking side by side. She wore a dark blue gown. He wore a simple suit, but for once, he didn't feel like a showpiece. They smiled. They danced. And for a moment, everything felt real. People watched them, whispered, admired. But above them, in the dark sky outside, the dome, a small unregistered ship floated silent and watching. Inside, a man spoke quietly into a target located. "She's with the human now. Orders?" The answer came quickly. "Wait, let them believe they're safe. For now." Darren sat alone in the control room of his private tower. The sky outside was dark, filled with stars and distant satellites blinking slowly over Jupiter's swirling clouds. But Darren wasn't looking at stars tonight. He was looking at Mira's scan reports. He had quietly asked Garrow to run a full background check using deep layer systems. Not public data, real, military-grade scans. Garrow, although loyal, had warned him, "Sir, it's against policy to scan a guest without their knowledge." "I'm not doing this out of curiosity," Darren replied. "I'm doing it to protect both of us." Now the results were on screen, and they made no sense. There was no official ID connected to Mira, no birth record, no medical history. Number. Education file. It was like she didn't exist before that kiss. But that wasn't the strange part. Her body temperature was lower than human standard. Her heartbeat was slower. And her blood sample taken secretly from a glass she used contained compounds not found in any Earth-born species. She's not lying, Darren whispered. She really is alien. He didn't feel fear. Not exactly. But something inside him stirred, part caution, part curiosity, part something else. Behind him, Darrow stood silently. Do you want me to report her, sir? Darren turned. No. If she came here to harm us, she would have done it already. She had plenty of chances. Keep this quiet. Yes, sir. Darren closed the screen and rubbed his forehead. The more I learn about her, the more I want to ask. The next morning, Mira was sitting in the garden area of the tower. A small space with real plants and fake sunlight. She looked peaceful there, like she belonged in quiet places. Darren walked up slowly. I looked into you, he said. She didn't look surprised. Of course you did. You're not angry? No. I'd be worried if you didn't check. You're smarter than most humans I've met. Darren sat down on the bench beside her. Why me? Out of all people, why let me kiss you that day? Mira looked at him. Because I was out of options. And you looked like you were too. They both smiled, slightly. Darren leaned forward. Tell me more about your mission, your people. Mira was quiet for a moment, then spoke. We came from a system called avarice. Far away, my team was sent to observe your kind. Not just your science, but your emotions. We studied love, fear, kindness, greed. We wanted to understand the things that don't fit into data. Why? Darren asked. Because your kind is still new and dangerous, but also hopeful. Darren looked at her. And then your mission ended? She nodded. Our leaders changed. Peace was no longer a goal. They pulled us back. Some of us didn't return. You stayed. I hid. She looked up at the light panel above the garden. I liked it here. I liked how humans argue, cry, laugh. You break things. But you build too. Darren nodded slowly. And the ones chasing you now? They think I'm a traitor. Or a risk. They won't stop until I'm gone. Just then, Garo's voice buzzed in Darren's ear. Sir, I have urgent news. Surveillance detected an unknown ship near the dome last night. No beacon, no ID. Darren stiffened. Did it come close? Yes. Just outside visual range. It hovered for 6 minutes, then disappeared into orbit. Darren stood up. Mira looked at him. They found me. Darren turned to her. You're not alone this time. Mira's eyes softened. You're risking everything by helping me. I already did the moment I kissed you, he said. Might as well finish the story. That night, Darren increased the tower's security. He gave Myra her own access card, her own emergency line. He even asked Garo to prepare a stealth route off the station if things got worse, but Mira didn't want to run yet. She stood at the window, watching the stars move slowly above the dome. This world gave me a second chance, she whispered. And I'm not giving it up without a fight. Somewhere beyond that window, another ship waited in the dark, watching, listening, planning, and it wouldn't wait much longer. Darren stood in the middle of the boardroom at Vega Corp headquarters, surrounded by sharp-dressed men and women with cold eyes. The meeting was called by his uncle Rovik, who sat at the head of the table like a king on a throne. Rovik wore a tight smile. So Darren, you've been busy, dancing with aliens, hiding fugitives, making headlines. Darren didn't blink. My personal life is none of your concern. Rovik leaned forward. It is when it affects the company. Investors are nervous. They think you're unstable. They always think that when they can't control me. A few people laughed quietly. Others stayed silent. Rovik placed a silver chip on the table. It lit up and showed images Mira at the dome event, walking beside Darren. Then another clip, her standing in the tower garden. One more, her face zoomed in, eyes glowing slightly in the dim light. She's not human. Rovik said, we've confirmed it, and she's wanted. Darren felt his stomach tighten. He stayed calm. And how did you get this footage? Rovik smirked. Does it matter? What matters is this. Your little guest puts everything at risk. Darren looked around the table. She hasn't hurt anyone. She's peaceful, smarter than all of you combined. That may be true, Rovik said. But she's illegal. Harboring her is a crime, unless you hand her over now. Darren stepped forward. What happens if I refuse? Rovik stood too, voice low but sharp. You'll lose everything. I'll remove you from Vegacorp. I'll freeze your accounts. And the next time your alien friend wants food, she'll be digging through waste bins out of mining rock. Darren didn't answer at first. He just looked down at the chip on the table. Then slowly, he picked it up and tossed it into the air. It hit the wall and shattered. I built half this company. I bled for it. If you want me out, try it. But I promise you, if anything happens to her, I'll burn this place down with my bare hands. The room went silent. Rovik narrowed his eyes. Then you've made your choice. Back at the tower, Mira stood near the communication screen. Garo was explaining the situation. Your presence is no longer a secret, the AI said. Mr. Rovik has started a full campaign to destroy your image. He called you a danger to human progress. Myra's hands tightened into fists. I've seen this before. It starts with words. Then they bring soldiers. Darren entered the room, his face tight but calm. You were right. They're coming. I can leave, Mira said quickly. Before they find a reason to attack you. No, Darren. I said no. He walked to her. You didn't run from your world to live in fear. I won't let them scare you here. She looked at him for a long time. You're risking too much. I already lost my father to corporate games. I won't lose someone else I care about. The room fell quiet. Mira asked softly, You care about me? Darren didn't look away. I didn't plan to. But yes, Myra slowly nodded. Then, let me stay. Not because I'm hiding, but because I choose to fight back. Later that night, Mira and Darren recorded a video together. A message, not for the boardroom, but for the world. In the video, Darren stood beside Mira. This is Mira, he said clearly. She's not from Earth, but she is kind, brilliant, and peaceful. She came to learn, not harm. Mira stepped forward. I am not your enemy. I came from a distant place, but I found hope here. I want to stay, not in fear but in peace. They ended the video with a single message on screen. If humanity stands for freedom, then prove it. The video went live within minutes. Within hours, it went viral. But far away, inside a shadowed room on a deep space ship, a voice growled. They've gone public. Change of plan. Send the retrieval team. A red light blinked. Orders were clear. Bring her back. Or end her. The next morning, the tower was quiet, too quiet. Darren woke up early. He stepped into the sitting room, expecting to see Mira reading, or standing by the window like usual. But she was gone. Garo, Darren called quickly. Where's Mira? The AI answered in a calm voice. I cannot locate her within the tower. Last movement detected in the garden chamber at 3:17 hours. Darren's heart pounded. Show me. A screen appeared. It showed a dark, quiet garden. Mira walked in slowly, looking up at the artificial stars above. She stood alone for a few minutes. Then 3 shadowy figures stepped out from the side paths. They moved fast. One raised a small device. A flash of light. Mira collapsed. No! Darren shouted. The video froze. They took her, Garo said. Silent and fast, no alarms, no traces left behind. Darren clenched his fists. Who? I traced the escape path. They used a cloaked ship, now moving toward the outer belt. I believe it's not human technology. Inside a small dark cell, Mira slowly opened her eyes. Her head hurt. Her limbs were heavy. Across from her stood a tall man in black armor with silver marks across the shoulders. His face was hidden behind a smooth helmet. She knew that armor. Elin, her old protector. You betrayed the mission, he said coldly. You were ordered to return. I chose to stay, Myra whispered. You chose to go soft, Elin snapped. You lived among them too long. Now you're part of them. They gave me hope, she said. You gave me orders. Elin turned away. This isn't your decision anymore. Back in Orbital City 9, Darren paced across the floor, face hard with focus. How far is that ship now? Garrow replied, It will reach the dark edge of the system within 6 hours. Once it enters the storm fields, we'll lose all signal. Darren grabbed his coat. Prepare my fastest craft. Get a signal out to every patrol ship. If I can't reach her, someone will. Garrow hesitated. Sir, this mission is too dangerous. You are not trained for. She risked everything for me, Darren interrupted. Now I'm doing the same. Inside the small alien ship, Elin watched a screen where Myra's face glowed in soft red light. You ruined everything, he said quietly. If they see what we are, they'll fear us, or worse, they'll try to become us. They already fear what they don't understand, Mira replied. But they can also learn. He looked at her for a moment, then turned away. Suddenly, a loud alarm echoed through the ship. Incoming vessel. Darren's ship roared toward the target, pushing its engines to the limit. Inside, he wore a light suit, his hands steady on the controls. He had no weapons, no plan, only a message. Broadcast this, he told Garrow, to the ship ahead. His voice filled space. I'm not here to fight. I just want Mira. Let her go, and I'll turn around. If you don't, I won't stop until I find her. The alien ship didn't answer, but inside, Mira heard it, and she smiled. Elin stared at the screen, silent. You could destroy him easily. One crew member said. No, Elin replied. He came for her, without fear, without weapons. He doesn't belong to their war. He walked back into the holding room and looked at Myra. He would risk his life for you? Yes, she said. Even if I'm not like him. Elin stood quiet for a long time. Then, slowly, he opened the cell. You were always stronger than me, he said. Let her go, he told the crew. Then disappear. Darren saw a small pod release from the alien ship. It floated gently through space, blinking green. He caught it in his docking bay. The door opened and Mira stepped out, safe, breathing, alive. He didn't speak. He just hugged her. She closed her eyes. I knew you'd come. I always will, he said as the alien ship vanished into the stars. Mira stood beside Darren. In the small cockpit, you've made enemies, she said softly. I've made choices, he replied. And I don't regret a single one. Behind them, Jupiter glowed orange and gold. Ahead of them, trouble waited. But now they would face it together. Darren sat at his office desk, eyes locked on a news screen. All channels were playing the same thing, him and Mira together, returning from space. The pod, the embrace, and the silent alien ship vanishing into the void. People had questions. Too many questions. But Darren was done hiding. Mira stood beside him, calm as always. Her presence now made him stronger, not weaker. They're afraid, Darren said. Not just of you, but of what you and I represent, Mira nodded. Hope scares people who love control. Just then, Garrow entered the room. Sir, urgent message from the council. They want to meet you today, in person. Darren stood. Let's give them something they can't ignore. The High Council met in the silver chamber of Jupiter Central Dome. The room was round, glowing with cold light, filled with leaders from Earth, Mars, and beyond. When Darren entered with Myra by his side, whispers filled the room. Council leader Harvin stood up. Darren Vega, you've been warned. You've been watched. And now you bring an alien into our chamber. She's not just an alien, Darren replied. She's a voice from beyond our stars. And she's not alone. Mira stepped forward. I come not as a spy or enemy, but as a witness. My people once believed humans were too wild to trust. But I lived among you. I saw pain, yes, but also love, kindness, and courage. The room went silent. One member asked, "And what do you want now?" "Protection," Mira said. "Not just for me, for others like me. There are still peaceful travelers, still silent. Visitors among you, give them a chance." Harvin frowned. "We don't owe your kind anything," Darren spoke up. "Then listen to what you do owe your people. They're watching. They saw me save someone who wasn't born here. They saw her show mercy instead of war. If you turn that into fear, you will break the trust they've placed in you." Another council member whispered to Harvin, "Public is already turning. Support for the couple is growing fast, too fast." Harvin sighed. "What are you asking for, Darren?" "Let her stay, legally, as a guest of Earth and the Orbital Alliance. And open a window, a single office for alien-human peace study." Harvin looked at Mira. "And if more like you come? Then listen to them, don't shoot first." 2 days later, the news spread across the system. Mira granted legal protection under the Interworld Guest Act. First human-alien peace. Sent her to open in Orbital City 9. Rovik, watching from a dark room far away, threw his glass at the wall. He turned her into a symbol and made me look like a fool. His assistant spoke carefully. "Doreen's approval ratings have doubled. Some of your allies are switching sides." "Then it's time for new plans," Rovik said coldly. "If we can't stop him legally, we'll do it another way." Meanwhile, Darren and Mira stood at the opening ceremony of the Peace Center. A tall glass building filled with light, screens, and learning chambers. People gathered outside to cheer. Reporters tried to get close, but guards held them back. One little girl in the crowd shouted, "Are you really from another planet?" Mira bent down and smiled. "Yes, and it's not as pretty as this one." The girl laughed. "I'm glad you're here." Mira touched her hand gently. "Me too." Darren watched from a few steps away, his heart feeling light. For once, he wasn't thinking about stock numbers or board votes or cold metal halls. He was thinking about the future. That night on the roof of the tower, Darren and Mira sat under a glass dome, watching Jupiter turn slowly below. "You've done something big," Mira said softly. "So did you." She looked at him. "They'll come again, not just your enemies, mine too." "I know." "You still want me to stay?" Darren took her hand. "Yes, for as long as you want." Mira leaned on his shoulder. "Then I'll stay. Not as a guest, not as a secret, but as myself." Above them, the stars shined brighter than ever, but in the shadows of space, danger was already moving again.